What's the best and worst thing about being a UFC fighter for you?
Well, the best is you get to do what you love. Yeah, I mean, if you love fighting, that's what makes it the best, right? The worst thing, if I gotta be honest, is like what I was just talking about, it's the money. I mean, I get paid well, I'm not complaining necessarily about that. Like, I make good money, but again, it's not sustainable. I like the entertainment, you know, like Jake Paul, like he's entertaining.
Let's go, baby!
I've heard you talk about Muay Thai, I've heard you talk about Welterweight. Is that something we could see from you, or boxing?
Maybe, Muay Thai is a possibility.
I have your top 5 welterweights in the UFC, ever.
Ever? I mean, GSP's clearly number one. I'd have to think going down the line from that, because it's basically GSP, then everybody else is kind of, you know, there's a distant second there.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Whitelaw here for Essentially Sports. We're in Phuket, Thailand, the Pearl of the Andaman. I'm with the one and only, the Immortal, Matt Brown, UFC legend. Matt, lovely to see you. What a backdrop. Looks like a green screen, actually isn't. Happy Jack's Kata, respect. Matt, what are we doing in Phuket right now?
Come out with the Fight Circus guys. Man, they're just giving me a tour of all of Thailand. They call it the Magical Mystery Tour, and it was a mystery. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but it has been magical. So, you know, it's been one of the greatest trips of my life. They've been great hosts. They've showed me a lot of fun times. What an amazing place.
I know that you're a Muay Thai fan. Like,
Yeah.
How much of a dream is it for you to be here and explore that a bit more?
That's been one of the most magical parts, man. I've watched it on TV, YouTube, you know, things like that for a long time, but to see it in person, I didn't respect how big the difference was going to be seeing in person. Once I seen it in person, I realized that the cameras do not do it justice at all.
You recently retired from MMA. What made you decide to hang them up?
I mean, there was a lot of different factors in that, you know. The main thing, I think you can make more money outside of fighting, to be honest. And I have my kids are teenagers now. I have two teenagers, 13, and you know, a daughter who's younger, she's 8. You know, it's just about time to start focusing more energy on them and start making, you know, more sustainable income for them. Instead of always, you know, the way we make money as fighters is your next fight, right? But at some point that ends. So, and I'm ready to give back, right? I own a gym. My gym's doing well, and I enjoy the fulfillment of teaching others and seeing them get healthier, stronger, better. So, like I said, there's a lot of different factors that's kind of scratching the surface, but it was a long, hard process. But here we are. I'm enjoying it. It's fine.
What's the best and worst thing about being a UFC fighter for you?
Well, the best is you get to do what you love. You know, I mean, if you love fighting, that's what makes it the best, right? You know, you live a lifestyle that few people get to live. You get to do things that few people get to do. The worst thing, if I gotta be honest, is like what I was just talking about, it's the money. I mean, I get paid well, I'm not complaining necessarily about that. Like, I make good money, but again, it's not sustainable. And, you know, you can make a lot more money doing other things. At least at the level I was at, I wasn't world champion, you know. Maybe it's different if you're world champion or if you're Conor McGregor, you know, guys like that. But for me, I think I can make more money doing other things. And I also haven't explored other parts of myself. I'm not just I'm a deeper person than that. I have a lot more in me than the one part that I focused on for 20 years.
And we see a lot of fighters retire, right? And then they get the itch real quick. I'm wondering, I've heard you talk about Muay Thai, I've heard you talk about Welterweight. Is that something we could see from you, or boxing?
Boy, it really crosses my mind all the time, especially going to Raja the other day. I'm standing right there with the promoter. I said, bro, I got to get in there. I got to do this. I was like, just sign me up tonight. But then the next day, I'm like, okay, you know, it's not really going to be worth it for me, you know. But maybe Muay Thai is a possibility. Like, you know, a lot of fighters, they go do like the grappling competitions, right, after they retire. You don't really see them do Muay Thai. You know, I guess they're afraid of getting hit or something. They think jiu-jitsu is safer for some reason, but realistically, like, jiu-jitsu for me is like way harder on my body. So, you know, maybe I'll try it. I don't know.
You said there was kind of, in the end, there weren't fights that was exciting you. Nick Diaz is fighting Tony Ferguson.
Yeah.
Is Nick Diaz one that got away? You guys are kind of legends from the same generation. How do you feel about Ferguson and Diaz fighting?
I don't really think about it. I don't know. I never really thought about who I was fighting or anything like that. I never really had bad blood towards anyone. you know, I just love fighting, you know, like I just want to fight the guy that I have never fought, right? Whoever it is, I just want to fight him. So, never had like particular guys in mind. I like a new puzzle. I like a new challenge. Yeah, and I think Muay Thai would bring that to me. Going back to what we were just talking about, like that's one of the things I've never got to experience is stepping into a Muay Thai ring and hearing that music play and then hearing the crowd, with the energy that they bring, the respect that they bring.
I feel like if you did it, it would have to be something legendary. Like what stadium and which opponent for you is like right up there?
I don't know. I don't necessarily have an opponent in mind like for that, but stadium I would definitely want to do Raja. Lumpini would be an option, but it's not what it used to be. The old Lumpini, that would have been number one, right? But now Raja, it's the world's oldest Muay Thai stadium. That's where the best fights are now. So Raja would be where I'd want to be.
Who's your favorite Muay Thai fighter?
Of all time, Yokapan. Right now, maybe Yadwicha, which I got to meet the other day. I don't know if you've seen on my Instagram. I got to meet him. So maybe I'm saying that just because he comes to mind first. Maybe Super Leg too, though. Man, he is really, really impressive, which I think is some other guys. I mean, I love watching all the guys in one, John Haggerty and Liam Harrison, who just retired. So I guess if I had to pick one, it'd probably be Yadwicha, though, because I love his clinch style. The old Yadwicha, the new Yadwicha, he doesn't clinch as much, right? And he's doing the kickboxing for a while. He's just kind of I don't want to degrade him in any way, but he's kind of just another kickboxer, But when he was clinching back in the day, I love watching it. And that's why I love Yokapan. Forward, clinch, elbows, knees. That's what I love seeing.
Can I have your top 5 welterweights in the UFC ever?
Ever? I mean, GSP's clearly number one ever. I'd have to think going down the line from that because it's basically GSP, then everybody else is kind of, there's a distant second there. Matt Hughes has to be somewhere in the top 5. God, what's even other options? Usman obviously has to be in the top 5. Maybe Leon, he's got to be up there. And Robbie Lawler, Robbie would be up there for sure. Is that 5?
Yeah, we got GSP, Matt Hughes, Robbie, Edwards, and Usman.
There you go.
5. That's a very good 5. That's right up there. Who's the most savage striker on the planet right now in any discipline?
Savage. You have to define savage.
What your interpretation of the word?
Okay. Savage striker. Oh man, Artur Beterbiev.
Okay, I don't know who that is.
The boxer.
Yeah.
He's fighting Bivol.
Oh, yeah. Bivol, man, he's got that Soviet style. That's cool.
That's going to be a very interesting fight. Very, very interesting because Beterbiev is an absolute savage.
Yeah. Okay, that's going to be a fight. Okay, check that one out. It's a good call. Speaking of savage, you are the owner of the most savage elbow in UFC history. What a moment. I mean, every time I see it, it blows my mind. And that's maybe kind of what you want as a fighter, right? That memory that's etched in stone forever. Can you talk us through that?
It was interesting, that knockout, because I was looking for that knockout pretty early on in that fight. Like, I got a read on what he was doing and how he was reacting to certain things. Particularly like catching kicks, and I said I know it's going to be there, but I was I was like, I still remember deciphering in my head, should I look for the knee or the elbow? And elbow presented itself. I actually was I went over this in a podcast recently where I broke it down. There was actually 3 different techniques that came together beautifully for that moment, right? The kick catch that I did, and then the way I held it, pushed him against the cage, and then set up for the elbow. There's 3 completely different techniques that I practice regularly and never put together before in my life, which is a beautiful thing about fighting. I learned a lot about how to train just from how that worked out, if that makes sense, right? We need to take full techniques and get good at the macro technique, and then we need to get good at the micro parts, right? Work on each little detail, and then you don't even realize the amazing techniques that come out of that. Yeah,
and then experiencing actually working on that stage, that must have been a cool feeling.
You know what, at the time, the one thing a lot of people don't know about that, when I knocked him out, it was so clean, I didn't even know that I hit him. I thought that I had whiffed it. So when he went down to the ground, if you notice my reaction, the referee comes in, pushes me off, and I didn't get excited or anything. I thought, oh no, they're gonna say this was an early stoppage, because I thought he was going for like a low single.
Yeah.
I was like, why would you go for a low single right now? You know? And then it took me a second, and I was like, dude, I just, like, cause he's still laying down. Dude, I just knocked him the fuck out. like I didn't even feel it. So it took a second for it to soak in. So it wasn't like a bam, and then all of a sudden my energy level's up to here. It was sort of like, okay, everything is cool. Like I did knock him out, yeah. It's not an early stoppage. I was beautiful knock. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man, what a roller coaster. So I was speaking of Sexan recently, the man who yields to no one, and it got me thinking about nicknames. The Immortal's got to be up there. You must have been asked about it so many times in your career, but what does the Immortal mean to you at this time in your life? What it's meant to who you are as a man and as a fighter, and where it came from?
Okay, so where it came from originally was I had a lot of close brushes with death when I was young. It's commonly known, like I had a heroin overdose, had other close brushes with death, and we're sitting around the party one night. My friends said, "Oh, bro, you're fucking immortal, man." And you know, just a passing joke. They didn't think anything of it, but it stuck with me, you know. And what it came with, the reason I got it tattooed on me was because that was right when I started training MMA, and I decided to devote my life to this. And it was basically a mantra to myself. So every morning I look in the mirror and remind myself who I am and what I am capable of and how to live my life, right? Like don't be afraid of anything. You could live, what's the saying? Like live today like you're gonna live forever, or learn like you're gonna live forever and live like you'll die tomorrow. You know, so just kind of reminding myself that every day. And then I actually didn't want it to be my nickname. You know, a lot of people don't know that. So it was in the local promotions at the time, they would just start calling me that. People didn't even know my real name. They would just say, he's Immortal. And I'm like, bro, it's tattooed on my stomach. That's corny as fuck. I don't want that to be my nickname, right? And it spread. And so I just embraced it. But it started to mean more to me over time. I still go back to this, just my mantra. This is just who I am, right? I can do anything, and anything I put my mind to, you can't stop me. Like, you can bury me 6 feet in the ground, I'm gonna crawl my fucking way out. And that's all it means to me. Like, it's not like unstoppable or can't be beat, or, you know, whatever kind of that. It's like, no, like, there's nothing you can do. I'm coming.
Unbelievable mindset. That's something anybody can relate to. That's what's cool about it. Reagan Ursel as well is the Immortal.
Yes, yeah. I love that guy.
Yeah, he's awesome. Who for you right now is the real BMF? I remember being at the Diaz Masvidal fight. It was 2019. It was a cool atmosphere. It got stopped early. Now the BMF is supposed to be one and done. It means different things to different people, but if you were in charge, who's the real BMF in the UFC?
In each weight class, the champion is the BMF. I think it's the cheesiest thing they've ever done. I think it's a gimmick, and I get why they do it. I'm not hating on them doing it. But if you're not the champion, you're not the fucking BMF, right? You're not the champion. Like,
yeah.
You would get beat by the champion, or you did get beat by the champion, right? Who did Masvidal and Diaz, right? They fought for the BMF, and they both have never been champion. So how are they the BMF?
That's interesting to hear you put it like that.
I mean, it's simple, right? Like, isn't that what the fucking belt is? Like, that's the baddest motherfucker in the weight. That's why he has the belt.
We've got Belal's the champion right now. He gets so much hate on social media. Is he a worthy champion for you?
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah, he's a really good champion. His style, his personality. So this is one thing I always talk about the UFC, that they've done so well that I don't think anybody's seen in any other sport or promotion, is the way they magnify the personalities, right? And if the UFC wasn't doing that, then Belal would just be respected as champion. But they magnify the personality so much through the media and through, you know, UFC Embedded, Countdown, whatever it is, right? The pre-fight, everything. They're amazing at this, and that's what built their brand to be as popular as it is, right? But that's, you know, when I break down fights, when I look at fighters, I look at them solely as a human being with 2 arms. I don't look at the personality stuff, right? That's why I call fights wrong a lot, right? Because there's skill-wise, paper up to paper, you're like, okay, you know, this guy should beat this guy. But you don't know what went on in the training camp. You don't know, you know, if his mind is weak, you know, maybe wakes up on the wrong side of the bed that morning, right? You don't know. But Belal it's sort of sad because he has absolutely earned every single thing that he's got. and he's certainly a worthy champion. But if you want to judge on personality, you know, like he says things that, you know, I say controversial, but it's like not even controversial, it's just silly sometimes, you know, just kind of off the wall, like, you know, that's not true type of stuff, you know. He doesn't have an appealing personality to the masses. I'm sure there's this niche out there for him, but it's not appealing to the masses, and that's why he gets underrated. That's all it is.
I think you came out and said that Chandler shouldn't wait for Conor. Is Conor going to come back and fight again? What's your opinion on that situation?
I've never believed he's going to come back and fight. I've called it since he broke his leg against Dustin Poirier. That was his last fight, right? If I'm remembering right, whatever his last fight was, I called it then. I was like, he's never going to fight again. I don't think it's out of the question that he fights again. I don't believe that he will. And yeah, I think Chandler should absolutely 1,000% keep fighting. Don't wait. I truly believe that Chandler is going to regret that one day. I do believe, I don't know Chandler personally, but he comes across to me personality-wise like a competitor who wants to go in and fight. And I think one day he's going to have that urge, and he's not going to have the ability to when he's 50, 60, 70 years old or whatever. And he's going to look back and he's going to say, damn, I wasted all those years waiting for a paycheck for someone that didn't actually matter to me.
We've seen Dana getting a lot of shit for giving John Jones so much love, but he's pretty great. He's in everybody's Mount Rushmore. What's your Mount Rushmore?
Okay, so I've seen this question, you know, a lot of people tweeting about their Mount Rushmore. You're referring to John Jones. First, okay, if you take away any PED stuff, John Jones is obviously number one. If you want to factor that in, then it's a different question. It's definitely DJ, I think, in my opinion. Now when you talk about Mount Rushmore, I look at it completely differently. I look at it as like the icons of the sport. And if you leave Royce Gracie off the list, I think it's a ridiculous list, right? Now, if you want to talk about the greats, that's different, right? I mean, Royce Gracie wasn't the greatest fighter, right? But there's no question he should absolutely be on Mount Rushmore. I don't think that's even debatable. And then you have to put Ronda, you know, because of the women's thing. You have to put Conor because of the way that he's changed the sport. And then number 4, I think, is where now you got it can divert in a lot of different directions.
Well, we already got Royce, we've got DJ, we've got Ronda, we've got Conor. That's 4, right?
I didn't say DJ. I said DJ is the greatest of all time. But if when I'm saying Mount Rushmore, okay, I look at that as the icons. My personal 4th would be Chuck Liddell, probably. That would be mine. Because I do think like Chuck had a special, when he was around, like that was a special time for the sport, like a golden era of sorts, right? And he was the fucking man right there.
The Iceman.
Yeah. But I think there's a lot of variants you could put on number 4. Like I think you could do Matt Hughes. I think you could do, even John Jones would be possible. GSP would be possible. I mean, I think that one, you know, the 4th one is kind of questionable, I think, in my opinion. But I don't think you can have a list without, or a Mount Rushmore without Royce, Ronda, and Conor.
Obligatory 3. The landscape, can I get your opinion? We've got the UFC, we've got PFL, 1 championship, and Turkey Alashik with the boxing kind of changing the game. Could I just have your overall perspective on, are these other figures, promotions starting to present a challenge to the UFC? How do you see the next few years panning out?
I don't think any of them present any challenges. Obviously the Sheik money, I think he's a Sheik, right? That money could certainly play a role, but I think Dana's friendly with them, right? And they'll probably work together. I don't think there's a chance of having any challenge to the UFC unless the lawsuit goes through and drastic changes happen. I have no idea, you know, what's going to happen with that, but that's sort of the elephant in the room that no one really likes to talk about, right? Like, particularly the MMA media, mainly influenced or controlled by the UFC, right? So they don't like to bring that up a lot. But if you research it at all, you know, like if this goes through, the entire landscape of MMA could be changed. And I don't necessarily know if that's going to be for the better. And the reason that I say that is because without the UFC being the monster, I don't know if MMA has another promotion or or another, just another route to stay as big as it is. You know, I can't predict the future, but you know, when UFC is like the Q-tip, you know, or the Kleenex, right? Like it's not a Q-tip, it's a cotton swab, right? Like you go down the street and you talk to, you know, a regular person, you know, they could be like, oh, you're an ultimate fighter, right? It's not MMA. You tell them you're an MMA fighter, they don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. You say I'm a UFC fighter, you got respect.
Has the UFC then for you, or MMA, has MMA surpassed boxing now?
The define surpassed. Like what's the measuring stick?
Yeah, that's a good question. Eyeballs, I guess.
I mean, when you look at, you know, the biggest fights, no. When you look at the majority of fights, yes.
Do you like these crossover fights?
I like the eyeballs being on combat sports, period. But I also appreciate and respect a lot more, you know, the purity of the sport too. So that's a tough one, you know, because I like the entertainment, you know, like Jake Paul, like he's entertaining. You know, I watch his fights, you know, it's not that I want to. I think the only thing I don't like about it is that, you know, the average person thinks that they're watching like something high level, right? That's why I like Muay Thai, you know, like I love the purity, you know, but I'm not watching it like specifically for entertainment, right? Like, you know, I can go watch WWE for entertainment, you know, I can watch Jake Paul for entertainment, but it's when you start talking about crossing over, you know, you're also crossing over, you know, entertainment and quality. And that's what I don't like. I just wish that the world knew the separation. And unfortunately they won't, but.
Can you talk to us a little bit more about Fight Circus? What you like about it? What brought you here? What caught your eye in the first place about Full Metal Dojo, Fight Circus, John Nutt?
I mean, I was following on Instagram, you know, and it's fucking entertaining, right? Like, and John is open and honest about like, we're entertainment here. We're not, you know, we're not looking to compete with the UFC or build the next UFC star or Raja star or anything like that. But, you know, he is giving opportunities to for guys to have real fights too. So, you know, I respect that. But the entertainment value that he's bringing is amazing. Like, this is a very, very cool thing, completely different, taking combat sports into a completely different realm that we've never seen before. So I think that's pretty badass personally. And I think it's a lot of fun. I think tomorrow's show is gonna be awesome. We did a little, like, I don't know what you call it, like a little mock show sort of party the other night. And it was just a blast, man. It's so much fun. And who doesn't like that fun, you know? Okay,
the quick fire with the Immortal Matt Brown. Out of everybody in combat sports right now, who's the funniest?
Oh, funniest? Oh, I have no idea.
John Nutt.
John
Quentin
Nutt
Jackson.
Rampage is funny as shit. Oh man, who's some fucking funny guys? I mean, fuck, I don't know. Yeah, John Nutt then. Yeah, John Nutt's funniest.
Who's the most annoying?
At this point, unfortunately, Conor. Unfortunately, yeah.
Who's got the best style, best dressed?
Best dressed? Fuck if I know. Me, for all I know. Shit.
Who's got the coolest tattoo?
Oh, that's definitely me.
Who's got the best wrestling?
Bo Nickel.
Best hands?
Maybe probably Max.
Best looking fighter in the UFC?
Oh, man, I'm not in the UFC anymore technically, but I'm still surpassing everybody today, so.
Good for you. And who'd you most like to have dinner with?
No one. I don't care to have dinner with anyone.
Okay.
No.
Okay. And who has the best fight IQ?
Oh, you know, Islam's probably up there at this point. You know, I don't think he's always had the best, but I think he might now.
Who would you most want by your side in a street fight?
Oh, fucking Derek Lewis.
That's a good choice. Who would make the best movie star?
Shit, I don't know, man. Me?
Why not? And if you could fight anybody, any weight class, past or present, who would it be?
John Jones or Fedor, because one of those two is the greatest ever.
Maximum respect. It's been a fun time. Matt Brown, absolute legend. A pleasure to have you. Thank you so much.